Okay, so this is incredible. Here with Sebastian Buemi, Formula E champion. Also, I think 4-time Le Mans winner. I'm losing track, but a very accomplished endurance driver. Also, you were in Formula One as well.
Yeah.
You know, you turned down the reports that I moved back to Formula One because you see the future in Formula E and endurance driving. So very interesting to interview you. And we're here at Monaco where you've won before. And I bought here a sim racing steering wheel. It happens to be a replica of one of the F1 teams. But I was wondering if you could show us kind of how it is when you're driving Sebastian Buemi's style at Monaco, because you're a race winner. I don't know if you can show us, like, what is it like when you're coming into turn one at Saint-Devote, like
In a Formula E car.
in a Formula E car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, you know, down the straight, if you look at the straight, it's not very straight, so you have to you keep cornering. But then once you get to the braking point, you know that you're gonna slow down the best if the steering wheel is straight. So you try to rotate the car a little bit before the braking, and while you brake, you try to keep the
lining it up.
Yeah, you're trying to line it up to make sure you brake with the straightest car possible. Then of course you aim for the curb, and by taking the curb, it's going to be difficult to keep the wheel still, you know, so you'll end up moving a bit. And then there's a tiny curb on the exit that you end up obviously
Up to the barrier.
Yes. So you try to get there as close as possible, but not too close because it's a bit dusty. Then you go up the hill, obviously you imagine like that. Casino Square, very, very tricky place because you get on top of the hill and the car gets really light on the top there. Just try to make sure you keep the inside, there is more grip. Then you go into turn 4. As you exit turn 4, you avoid a little bit
Looks so cool.
Yeah, exactly, because you would obviously upset the car if you were to take that big jump. So you avoid, then you try to come back to the left just to
So
make
it's
sure.
definitely not faster to do that. It's uncomfortable, but could
No,
it...
I think the car would you generate wheel spin, you'll brake not very nicely for the next corner, so you really need to try to avoid it. Brake straight as late as you can, get close to the wall on the inside, touch the curb if you can. Then again, loves, you brake straight, brake late, turn as much as you can, which means most likely like that, you know. And then you have the 2 corners before the tunnel where you ride the curb, you open the wheel, you turn again, and then in the tunnel obviously you're back straight, you stay close to the wall on the left, then you take the corner flat. Not that easy in Formula E. Then exit of the tunnel, you stay on the left just to make sure you do a bit the same as in turn 1. You line it up straight. You brake on the top of the hill. The car is a bit light, so the rear tends to move. And then very importantly in the chicane, you try to go as close as you can to the guardrail. Yeah. Because the closer you get there, the more space you have after.
Are you looking at it ever? Is it in your peripheral vision?
Yeah, of course. You look in front, but you basically see the wall there. You try to, as I said, get as close as you can just to make sure you have more room on the right. And then Tabac is a very tricky one because similar to the one before, but you want to go, you nearly want to touch the wall just to make sure you have more room on the outside. And then the swimming pool chicane, very fast. You try to be nearly flat with Formula E. You ride the curbs. You brake straight for that chicane just down there. The second swimming pool. There again, the closer you go to the wall, the better.
Do you hit the curb on the inside?
You do, but not too much. If you do too much and you bottom out, you end up in the wall on the outside.
Does that curb change year on year or not?
Normally now they've kept it similar. They used to put a bollard, remove it, a sausage curb, but in Raskas, normal corner, let's say. And then the last corner is a very tricky one because you have a little bit of a dip, so it's easy to lock the wheel. But you have such a long straight after that the exit is extremely important. So you really try to rotate the car early, open the wheel and go early on power.
It's amazing hearing you go through that because what might seem like there are straights in it, there's not really straights.
No, there is not. And also everything you can do to line up the car, to make sure you brake straight, you improve your braking. You always keep in mind if there is a bit of a straight following, you want to have a good exit because you want to make sure you carry the momentum out. You get as close as you can to the wall because it opens up the corner all the time, you know.
Is it because if you're close to the wall, you
have more space after?
Yeah. And do you turn it up in qualifying? Do you take more risk or is it just execute?
No, you try to execute. I mean, you try to, maybe you do take a bit more, especially if you're in the duels, because you know there is not much to lose in case you lose time. Worst case scenario, you qualify P8. But in the group, you try to find the right compromise between the risk and putting the lap together. You need to put the lap together.
Okay, this is $1 million question for a lot of people. How on earth do you overtake at Monaco? So if you're going out of the tunnel and you're on the inside, you're on the bumpy stuff that you've been trying to... How do you do that?
Yeah, of course, you know, you usually don't see so many overtaking maneuvers here in Monaco, but this year with the attack mode and the 4-wheel drive, it's going to be a lot easier, so we'll see a lot more. But yeah, it's risk management again. Of course, if you go on the outside, it's dusty, it's bumpy, you need to have a real pace advantage to make sure you can pass the guy ahead. Clearly, overtaking Formula E is different to Formula One. You know, Formula One here, if the guy drives in the middle of the road, it's nearly impossible to pass.
Okay, so talking about Formula One, Formula E and WEC, you're a master of all three of them. I think it's completely fair to say, well, you're a champion in Formula E, you're a multiple champion in WEC, you had a very strong Formula One career, people rate you very highly. It was reported you were asked to come back and you were very happy where you were. Are there any sort of differences that people might not know between them? Like I've heard people say Formula E is a lot about software.
Yeah.
Is there something about the hypercars that's also different? Or?
No, I think the hypercar, in a way, is maybe a bit closer to Formula One.
Okay.
Of course, the cars are different, the regulations are different, but the energy management is not such a big topic. Where Formula E qualifying, I would say, is quite similar to the usual motorsport category, where you don't care about the energy, just drive as fast as you can. But the race, it's all about the energy, and this is totally different. So you have to find a way to be efficient, save energy, but fast at the same point.
Yeah.
And this is something you cannot compare with anything else.
Is that compromising? You're always having to compromise
Of course,
something?
take the slipstream, brake early, regen early, all those type of stuff, yeah.
Any tips you can give to people who are sim racing, maybe, who are driving, they're driving the Formula One game or they're driving hypercars, which are very popular in sim racing. I don't know if you know much about sim racing or you're doing much sim racing.
I mean, I don't do at home, but I obviously drive simulators at Red Bull or Toyota, yeah.
But in terms of the ones people are, playing at home, not like the PlayStation on the PC, people love driving the hypercars. They love driving the Formula E cars in R-Factor because there's all this complication. Any tips you can give to people because I watch a lot of people drive, but they're often very tense.
Yeah.
They have the feedback very high and they're tense.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you need to keep on the straight. You need to use the straight to relax. You need to use the straights to think about how to improve the car, what settings you can change. And you have to be very methodical in the way you change things, because people, when they start to change something on the steering wheel, they easily lose 2-3 tenths because they lose focus.
Okay.
So you need in the back of your head to think, when am I going to do the change? Make sure that when you do the change, you're not losing time.
So you're thinking about when to do the change before you even do the change. Like, when am I going to do it?
Yeah, also, just to make sure I maximize the fact that I'm not losing time. I mean, if it's an easy change and it's just a sweet change, you can do it more or less at any time. But if it's a more complex change that requires a couple of interaction with the steering wheel, just make sure, first of all, you think about what you want to change, and then you think about when you want to change it.
And when, for example, at Monaco, are you...
I mean, out of the portier just before the tunnel, out of the last corner, out of turn one, you can do it. You're not going to lose much time. Well, but you wouldn't do it in between a few corners,
Yeah. Well, it's been phenomenal to get your insight as one of the most accomplished racing drivers in the world. I don't know if you have a quick message for your fans who've been watching you in many series. You're here at Envision, have had some really strong moments using the Jaguar powertrain. Any messages to your fans?
Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. Just make sure you continue to watch Formula E. This weekend's going to be a special one with the Monaco pit boost, on the Saturday and the second race on Sunday. I think it's going to be interesting races, and I hope to see you soon on the racetrack.
I can't wait, and maybe another victory for you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Cheers.
you.